Our discomfort with the judicial verdict is basically stemming from the fact that a judicial verdict could cause social disorder, could cause some sort of grievance and some sort of violence. It could, as we were saying, although India has changed, it could. But on the other hand, is that a legitimate fear? Because the BJP today is a different party. It's a responsible opposition. It needs its allies. It's got a Bihar election. It's got Nitish Kumar saying a court verdict has to be respected. The Muslims on the other side don't have that much to complain about in terms of perhaps addressing minority rights in 2010 as compared to 1990s. So are we actually exaggerating the fear of disorder?
The problem, Sagarika, is not that public temper is as high as it was earlier. That has definitely come down.
Why is the judiciary afraid?
Polarity has come down. The problem is that the capability of our political system to handle something like this has actually probably come down even compared to Mr. Narasimha Rao's days, which were quite low in terms of capability to handle issues like this. I just want to clarify this business. Even if there was a judgment on the title dispute, that would never resolve the larger question. The larger political question still remains. So let the title dispute be the title dispute. Let a judgment come. I'm sure there would be appeal in Supreme Court. That will go on and so on.
Right.
And then the larger question of political negotiation still remains. The problem in this country is we do not have a single leader in this country, unlike Gandhiji, who could be confident of how Hindus would react to this.
Right.
We have on the one hand a political party, Congress party, which is always unsure of both the sides, losing both the sides, and the BJP, which is desperate to win, to expand, but doesn't have the language to articulate what it desperately wishes to do. This is where the real problem lies.
So Shravan, you think basically the problem with the negotiated settlement is the crisis of leadership? There is really no leader.
Yeah, I think Yogendra is quite right that nobody has that moral stature to be able to be acceptable to both sides of the dispute, and they can be confident that a fair decision will come out in the process. That's obviously one thing. The second point which I want to emphasize, and which Mr. Elias alluded to, was the fact that the premier political party, the Congress party, has always tried to hide from confronting this dispute. Their attitude, leave it to the courts. We heard it throughout the 80s and 90s. No, this is a matter for the courts to decide. And today we have a bizarre situation where one of the litigants, or even both the litigants, actually believe that the petition to the Supreme Court has actually been at the behest of the Congress party, which wants to further put it under the carpet. Not so much that they want a negotiated settlement, but they want this thing to fester for fear that there will be some settlement.
Well, there was a suggestion made in the earlier program where a panelist said, what if the government just takes over the land under land acquisition and builds a park or a hospital?
Well, that's been suggested. It was suggested right in the aftermath of the demolition.
Do you think there'll be a huge conflagration if the government takes the land and
I don't think that solves the problem at all. I mean, people said that why don't you build a Gandhi memorial? Why don't you build a park? If you remember, there was an exhibition with suggestions.
No, people may not be happy, but do you think there'll be rioting on the streets if that happens?
I don't think it actually solves the problem at all. I don't think we should be afraid of confronting the problem. I think we should confront the problem. We should agree that there was a division within our society. We should recognize that division is on the verge of healing because India has moved on. And somebody, as Yogen says, should take the initiative and try and heal that. To sort of say, forget about the division, we'll build a park, or to say, leave it to the courts, is not the answer.
So the answer is a political solution.
The answer is a solution where both sides sit on a table and say, we'll give this, we'll give that. It will happen in a political dispute. It won't happen perhaps in a title dispute because that's a strictly legal issue.
That's a very good point. Mr. S.Q.R. Elias, you have to change. India is changing, and what Veer is saying is that the parties have to change. You have to realize this is a completely new century. You on the Muslim side, the Hindus on the Hindu side. Why don't you change your minds, change your mentality? Why can't you do that? Why should you be so stuck on these hard positions?
It is not a hard position. Sagarika, before 1949, there was a compromise formula. Hindus were having chabutra outside the Babri masjid, and they were having idols and they were worshipping there. Since 1833 to 1949, Hindus' claim was only on chabutras, and Muslims were praying inside the mosque. So let that position can get revived. Even Supreme Court.
Are you in favor of that?